Joey here again as a critical Missourian, and I'm here to talk about everyday life, about Missouri, and beyond. So, in my video here, I want to talking about one thing that's been going on for many decades. Is the decline of American farmers. And farms in general, or should say, family farms. It's if you look on the numbers, it shows that, here it says from 2017 to 2022, we across this country have seen a decline of 6.9% of the number of farms across the country. So, and unfortunately, a lot of these farmers that still own their farms are usually over the age of 40 or 50. So a lot of them is starting to age out. The biggest problem with that I'm seeing is most businesses are most farms are suffering a problem where the income versus expenses are just not adding up anymore. That plus, it seems like, I can attest. I had a grandmother that was that owned a large farm not far from Springfield, and it was rough. She had to milk several cows every day, and just barely make enough money to keep things going. And it seemed like every year the costs are going up, and the money supply keeps going down. The same way with all American farmers. They're suffering from the same problem. Mega corporations and mega businesses are making it very difficult. Seriously, when you got, let's say depending on what type of farming you do, you always got your cost of fuel, fertilizer, chemicals that you need to make the plant grow. If you're in the animal business, you still got your veterinarian costs. These are not easy expenses that could be just paid just simply. Many farmers are turning to loans and grants from the federal government just to get by, and unfortunately, it's getting harder and harder to keep going. Like I said, you got big businesses to compete against. That's for a problem. The problem is also happening is a lot of family farms are selling out to big businesses that own several thousand of acres, and just like a revolving door, they just add on. They just keep adding on, eating away at family farms, and they're just they're making the biggest. They're making big profits, and these small farmers are having a hard time competing against them. I mean, says says here in another bullet that there's also competition from more than from foreign markets, more efficient farms. I mean, like I said, the larger farms, they can move that product like faster and at a discounted rate, because they can always go to a supplier and buy in large bulk and get a discount, and that's sometimes something that smaller farm just can't get, and that pushes that adds extra strain and stress on these smaller farmers, the small-time farmers, ones that don't that only have like a few hundred acres, and they're just trying to keep things going with what little they have. Another point is like with the stock market. It plays a part, like when the price of each commodity that each farmer goes in a wild swing, that can affect the farmer's ability to make a profit, and how much of a loss that they have to take. It's getting. I mean, and a lot of the farmers are being squeezed out if they're like on the edge of a city, a major city. They may be squeezed out to sell their property to the city to developers. That's another push. I mean, if you're like within city limits or on the edge of city limits, you're going to get some push to sell out to developers or to someone to the city itself that wants to do something with the land for the public or for its own needs. But there's always that strain about being too close to a city. There's also another problem that, like I said earlier about demographics, there's a problem also where young people don't find farming as something that's big, it's really big and flashy for them. They try to avoid it at all costs. They don't want to enter into it because there's just no allure to it. I mean, the fact that you gotta get up real early, bust your butt all day long, get home right at as the sun goes down, and then you're just burned out. You've just got enough time to eat, take care of yourself, go to bed, get up, and do it all over again. My grandmother did this for many years. So, and for younger people, that's not the life they want to live. They'll sit there and say, yeah, that's not. It's kind of like too rough on them, or they got some excuse. But it just flat out that all the younger kids just don't have much interest, and it leaves family farms that's been in several generations in a predicament where even though they try the previous generation try to pass it on to the next, it's usually the problem where the next generation just says, no, I don't want it. So leaves that leaves the previous generation a predicament to, when they're ready to retire, pretty much sell everything that they have and close up business. I mean, I can also add something here that's not shown. I mean, with climate change, I do forecast that a lot more farms are going to struggle more. I mean, if you really pay attention, you see a lot more droughts out west. Too much rain in the east, and that's going to be very detrimental to the farming industry. That's something that's also not really factored in, and that really needs to be taken account. It's just a lot of farms are just have an uncertain future, and it's really hard for them to find solutions to have the problems that they have. And I mean, rural America is struggling. Urbanization has just pretty much hammered our agricultural sector real bad. Everyone's packing up from the rural areas and moving to large towns where there's factory jobs and any other thing else, and that also makes an impact, especially when all the kids or everyone else in general just pack up and move out of town. Farmer needs farm hands to help out. There's not going to be very many there because, like I said, we're suffering from a decline in rural America where everyone wants to go move into the big cities. I've noticed that already. When I was a small kid, you see, it wouldn't be surprising. You see a lot of farms, but a lot of people where I'm from are pretty much seeing factories close up. The farming industry is not really attracting to them because it doesn't make a whole lot of money. I mean, I had someone I knew that went to work for a local dairy farmer that is just retired. He only has like 100 cows, not very many. Um, so they would milk for probably 5 hours a day, whatever the farmer can handle. Because, like I said, he's retired. He's gotten older at that time, and the poor guy, by the time he gets his paycheck, and this was like um, just between 20 in the early millennium, he only made $600. By the time he paid mainly just for the rent, and he was living in public housing at the time. By the time he paid for his rent, paid for his utilities and his gas, insurance, all his other expenses, the money's gone. And that's the thing is, a lot of kids have seen that, and they're like, they're just like not, that's what I'm saying is like, they don't want to deal with that. They want to make more than that. And great for like a part-time job when you need, when you're a kid just attending school, you want to do some weekend work, there you go. I mean, but like I said, kids just don't have any attraction to it. So, so with that, I mean, so let me put this all together, because I think it's kind of looking bleak for family farms. Yeah, I mean, you got all this in a summary. You got problems where economics are putting in play. The inflation is hammering our farmers. Pay what they're making from sales, from the markets fluctuating and everything. That's also a factor that's hammering them. The fact that the rural flight that we're suffering, farmers are having a hard time trying to find labor to help out on the farm, because younger generation just don't find no attraction to working on the farm. So farm labor is hard to come by. I mean, the fact that mega corporations and mega companies are making things even more harder on them. And something I didn't add, I'm sorry, I just remembered to add. And this goes for the farmers that grow food from seed. There's a problem where the seeds that they're buying are now controlled by a very few number of companies. They've got a problem where these are small farmers. They got a problem where they have to buy the seed directly from this so company, and Um, they, I mean, and I mean, they've got there's also a problem where, because the seeds are also sometimes copyrighted or protected by legal standards. If, let's say, a you're a farmer's neighbor harvests a bunch of corn. Okay, the corn kernels went over into the neighbor's yard. If that grows there, that neighbor can get sued. I mean, I need to do more research on that, but I do heard some stories where these seed, like I said, seed manufacturers putting patents on their work, making it hard for farmers to grow anything but that sort of thing. I'll have to do an update on that when I have more information. But also, to put in the summary, you also got a problem as far as demographics again. You also got a problem where a lot of farmers are in the upper stages of their life, or let me clarify, in their advanced ages. I don't want to say that's a farmer is super old, but anyone that's old, that's over 40 or 50. The problem with that is, like I said, is like when it's time for them to retire and move the farm on, they are left with the fact that they're they have to basically sell the land and end the business. Sometimes ending 100 decades or hundreds of years of business, because the next generation just says no. So, anywho, I know it's been a kind of a downer, a Debbie Downer, but unfortunately, these are the facts that American farmers are facing, and most people in America not realizing the burden that they have to do, that they're having to bear, and many of them are done in silence. I mean, and I fear there's going to be a time where the small potato farm, small-time farmers are going to cease to exist, and everything will be controlled by these mega corporations that can do all the work, the hiring and everything else at a cheaper rate, and cut their costs down at the expense of probably quality or the environment or somewhere, and it's going to be and what's going to end up happening is there'll be no way for anyone that's got a small farm to compete, because they just can't compete with someone that can cut their costs well below what Farmer John can. And I hate to say it, but that's the direction we're going to end up going at the rate things are going, because I'm seeing it. I've been seeing it for a long time, and I hope someday there may be a turnaround, but as of right now, I do not see any light at the end of the tunnel, unless something changes. Like I said, we're going to end up in a world or a country where, like, say, Bayer owns all the farmland, and they can do everything else better and cheaper and everything else, and it'll be all owned by them. They can set, and then they can turn around and monopolize the prices on us at the consumer end. And I'm just saying, hypothetically, I'm not naming Bayer per se, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, a major company that's that owns a really huge farm. Yeah. So, like I said, I hope this video does point out the struggles that that small farms deal with. Like I said, I need to do more research on the on this thing where I was reading this article where small farmers are being sued by seed manufacturers because they're violating some kind of patent. And I'll probably put a update to that. But anywho, I hope to catch y'all on the next video, and see you later.